But we're viewing your screen. It says on my screen, it says we are viewing yours.
Resume share. Okay, now I will do it again. Okay.
Yes, and now you can start the presentation.
So, dear colleagues, technical problem as always. You are in screen sharing live. Okay.
Yes, just open the presentation, please. Is it opening?
Where to?
Click on the presentation to open it.
Click on the presentation to open it.
Yes.
Yes. Zoom Cloud meeting. No, this is not it.
Just open the file on your computer.
Yes. Okay. I am opening it. Yes. And okay. Now I am doing something. Do you see it?
Do you see it on your screen?
I see it on my screen. Do you see it on your screen?
No, we see only the window.
You see only the window. Oh boy.
Yeah. Please try to open the presentation and then click share screen.
Open the presentation and share.
Yes, open the presentation so you can have it on your computer opened.
I have opened it now. So
yeah, okay, now try share screen.
Now I will try to share screen. Okay. No. Perhaps it would be the best if you could open it by you. I send it to you. Could you open it, please? Do you hear me? Sorry.
Okay, sorry. So your presentation is on Yas's computer and she can't share it right now. So please try again to double click your presentation to open it. Just open the presentation now. We are seeing your desktop screen. Excellent. Now press F5.
F5, yes?
Yes. And we have it, brilliant. We have it full screen. And now you can go on the next slide with your space bar. Please start talking.
Okay, dear colleagues, it is, as you see, a new experience for me to make such a conference, and of course technical problems appear. But let's go further. My presentation is dedicated to the memory of Imre Hol, who was the Nestor of the ceramic researches in Hungary, and from whom I have learned a lot. So also connected with the problem of regional units, from which I'm going to speak to you. Now, the first thing I have to mention is that the problem of clay cauldrons is let's say, my oldest problem in archaeology. I was dealing with this problem since the mid-80s, when I wrote an MA, and I gradually returned to it, and I want to give you my newest points of view of my researches. The problems are always the same. What is a cauldron? How can it be interpreted? And what are the main trends to see to make a characterization and to make a classification of this very huge material? Well, let's start with the problem of cauldron. These cauldrons are shaped in the shape of a metal vessel. They are actual replicas of metal vessels, and as you see, they are very fragmented, and that is due to the fact that this shape is not very suitable for the pottery. It is a shape of a metal, and we find them usually very fragmented. And as I said, already in the 80s, I discovered that there are some kinds of regional trends in their spread, and my conclusion of the 80s was this map. As you see, all these black and white dots does not show much of these regional trends, and it was the question for me how this status can be amended with new data. And we should know that the cauldron, I had to work with, let's say, approximately 200 of cauldrons, which were not only tiny fragments of rim, but which were whole vessels in fragments. But now their number is at least 2,000. But even more, because there were very big infrastructural works after the 90s, and very many items were found. So the main problem is their contextualization, how to contextualize these vessels. I tried to make an overview of the shapes, and I made the most classical point how to deal with this material, and I made a formal classification. This formal classification showed that the cauldron is a very vessel with very many subtypes. We see that there are low, there are medium, and there are high vessels, and they are vessels which have a reflected body, because the place where the round bottom is connected with the body is very accented, and there are vessels with rounded body. And as you see, the rims are also very have many variants, and these things can show us that we have to deal with regional models, because they are different in different regions. The first thing I had to see is what was the region where the cauldron is most spread, and that is the middle part of the Great Plain. And I have chosen two types of cauldrons which are contemporaneous. So this is not chronology, but you see that the difference are striking. One of them, the upper one, is as you see has a fabric that is red or even dark red. The lower one has a fabric which is more brown. The upper one has a rim which is very narrow and very large. The one that is on the bottom side hasn't got this rim, and the point where the round bottom is connected with the body is also very different. Has a very different accent. So I have put on the map these two types of vessels, and it was striking that though there is a large area where the two types are both of them are spread, we have areas where they are separately spread, and one of them that I call the Middle Danube type is somehow spread around the river Danube, and the other one is spread around the river Tisa. and therefore I call them middle Danube type and middle Tisza type. And I have to point out again that these cauldrons are in their most part 12th or 13th century, so it is not a chronological difference between them, but it seemed so that the workshops, the contemporaneous or almost contemporaneous workshops were producing different types of vessels. And I want to point on the significance of the rivers, because these both of the groups are to be connected with river courses. That is, I'm going to return to this later. So, and I wanted to find a place where this model perhaps can be also used, and that was the southern part of the Carpathian Basin. On the southern part of the Carpathian Basin, I could separate 4 types of cauldrons. The upper one, you see that it is very likely to the metal vessel have a convex body. The second one has a rounded body, but it is very closely connected with this incised decoration of straight lines. The third one is again connected with the form of the metal vessels, has a very rough fabric and has a great number of big incised whale line. And the fourth one is connected also to be connected with metal vessels, but it has let's say orange or light brown fabric. Let's see how this vessels are spread on the ground, on the territory. The first one, this vessel with a convex body, is one can see it on the eastern side of southern Banat, somewhere between the towns of Vršac and Pančevo in the modern, when you use it with modern terms. You see the main representatives of them. The first one is one of my book of 86. The others are the newer findings. You see their publication places, and it is very good that this kind of vessel is good to be separated also as a fragment. And all of these parts are in the eastern part of southern Banat. The second vessel type is the vessel type which is spread in southwestern Banat and eastern Sirmia. This is the vessel type with much more rounded body and with this incised decoration of straight lines. It is somewhere between Pančevo and somewhere between Sremska Mitrovica, and there is also one of them in the Bačka, and that is Bečej. I have to tell you that also these vessels and the site of Nova Pazova is very good, because it is to be dated on the second part of the 11th century. So it again, and we have items from the 13th century. So we have again the situation that not the chronology is different, but the territorial spread. Let's see the third group, which is spread in northern Bačka and the northern Banat, and this is a cauldron that you may see that with a rough paste, with a rough fabric, and with this big incised decoration of veil line, and it is spread in Northern Bačka in Losa, and in Banat in Arača, and in Bečej. But we can see them also in the newest volume of archaeological topography of the region of Čoka. And then, but I did not put them on the map because the volume was, I have to study it because of this COVID things. I could not get the volume, but I know that there is. So at end phase, there is going to be a fourth dot for it. And the fourth, now let us move to the fourth regional group, and this is the group of middle Tisza region, which we already have seen in the first slides, but it turned out that this Middle Tisa region has its spread also in the Vojvodina, in southern Bachka. It is spread till Novi Sad. Novi Sad Klisa has vessels of this type, and there are new published them from Churuk or from Gunarash, and they form a group of vessels which were produced somewhere in this Middle Tisa region. For this regional form, it is very characteristic that there are very big vessels also in it. We see one of them, the biggest one in the whole the Carpathian Basin, and that is was found in Stara Moravica, Kishkiarash, and it has a capacity of 17.6 liters. The average capacity is between 8 and 12 liters, and it can be said that it is much bigger. A vessel of this type, with these measures, we can find also in Novi Bečej. And you can ask why. Well, it is usually said that the people in Bachka and Banat love to have big food and good food, but I think that it is something more. This should be somewhere connected with the size of the groups, let's say families who were using these vessels. And now let's move to the further. And now I have here a little set of sites which were referring on. You may check if you want to which site is what. Of course, in the written form there was going to be bibliography connected with all these excavations. And after all this, let's move to the conclusions. The conclusions are the following. The formal characteristic of the Kudrons in the southern part of the Carpathian Basin have emphasized the fact that there are regional groups, and these regional groups can be good determined. The Kudrons are in this respect not to be treated as same as the Pots, because by the Pots we cannot observe such regional tendencies. Kudrons are almost like let's say an ethnographic ceramic, which is also spread on a regional basis, and this points on the fact that we have to analyze the workshops. The workshops producing these vessels were not single by my point of view, but there were groups of workshops that were producing the same or almost same types of vessels. From the point of chronology, I want to stress out again that I want to point on the fact that the vast majority of them is 12th or 13th century. So not the chronology is in the case. Usually my colleagues who are working with it, and I was also for a long time thinking, so I thought that these are chronological phases, but not, these are regional groups. Now we made this typology to have some questions that should be analyzed to see how the distribution was. It is to really point out that the rivers, also in the southern parts of the Carpathian Basin, form no boundaries for these regional groups. So we have regional groups, for example, in eastern Sirmia and southwestern Banat, which is the same regional group. And we have the regional group which is spread also as in Bachka and as in Banat. So the big rivers were not boundaries, and therefore I think that I can argue for a thesis that the rivers were used for the distribution of these vessels, that they were distributed, let's say, with some kind of boats, or I don't know, some kind of vessels which were used on the rivers, and that is very important. I think that, and this is of course not typology, but one cannot argue for this without knowing the typology. And the fifth point is that in the regional group of Northern Bačka and Banat, there are also very large vessels, which is some kind of local characteristic. And this local characteristic is very important to see that the same regions, same regional groups have subgroups, and that means that were used that these people were using vessels, sorry, of different workshops, and these very large vessels are also pointing on the fact that the groups which were using these vessels were in this region somehow bigger than the groups which were using, let's say, average vessels. And I hope I could fit in the time. I say thank you very much for your kind attention, and sorry for all these technical problems, but I hope I could master them. Thank you very much.
It was perfect. So despite all the technical problems, we are almost on time. And there is a short question for you. What about, from Iapalaguta, what about the distribution of such cauldrons in other areas, for example, in North Pontic or in Volga region? Do you have any information about that?
Well, the problem is that the material is very huge, and I try to master the material from Carpathian Basin, and I have better knowledge for Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, northeastern Bulgaria is a place or region where this kind of vessel is distributed. But as I see, there is no such a richness in the regional groups. And I think that almost all the vessels in Bulgaria are in the medium or high type of vessels with a refriction on their body to be set. And but I should go there, and I think that for somehow one can analyze ceramics when one is near to it.
Excellent. I have one more question from Vesna Bikic. What can you say about useware activities, briefly? Namely, many findings of cauldrons from Belgrade, for example, do not have any kind of traces of usage, like sooting clouds or attrition marks, although some are quite well preserved. What about yours?
Well, that is another issue. I've got another presentation for that. There are vessels in the Arpadian age that are buried. And these vessels are buried with skeletons of little bird, iron nails, parts of iron knives, even fishes. And these were some kinds of ritual depositing of these vessels. For Vesta, I can send you some literature. I was writing it in the Tomka 75 volume. These are vessels which are not used and buried in ritual context. They were used for let's say pagan rituals of Middle Ages.
This is very interesting. Vesa says thank you. So I don't see any more questions, and now it's 11:53, and I think we can conclude this morning session, and we will have a break before we continue. And yes, Vesa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can continue in 20 minutes. Sorry, yes, I'm looking at your message now. Okay, now you can please leave now the Zoom meeting, because you have to enter the next session for the next meeting. And I think we'll have break 20 minutes. Yes, and Vesa, I think 20 minutes. Is that correct? 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Leave now Zoom and rejoin to the next session.